Hello everyone and welcome to another construction crash course. Today we are going to be talking about submittals. What are they and how do you review it? So let's get into our 10-minute crash course. All right, so the first question of the day is, what is a construction submittal? Basically, a construction submittal is information on something going into your project that is submitted to you as the general contractor, then you submit to the architect, engineer, designer, something along those lines for approval. You are approving every little item that goes into the project. Every single item is going to have at least one submittal tied to it. Now, there's different types of submittals for different things. So what you get for your paint is going to be very different than what you get for your stairs and what you get for your framing, things like that. So the big four categories are product data, shop drawings, samples, and as-built. So starting with that first one, product data basically tells you everything you need to know about blank. And then you fill in the blank with your different subcontractors. So if we're talking about plumbing fixtures, your product data is going to tell you, this is the toilet I'm going to install. This is the sink I'm going to install. This is the faucet I'm going to install, and so on and so forth. Something that you don't think of is, great, I can see the faucet. What pipe was used to connect the faucet? What type of fitting was used? What type of glue was used to connect that faucet? And you might think, I don't really care. And frankly, that's the answer for a lot of these. But the ones that really matter. So you need to make sure that you're reviewing it. Because if your subcontractor submits a type of glue that is not approved for freeze-thaw conditions, and you live in Montana, where things are going to freeze and then thaw, that's going to be a warranty issue. So you need to understand what the subcontractors are putting into this project, not just what the final result is going to look like. So the majority of your items are going to end up being product data. So you're going to have product data for, like I said, plumbing fixtures. You're going to have them for your mechanical, what vents are being used, what size vents are being used, what brand, does the brand have the correct warranty, things along that nature. Another thing you will also need is shop drawings. So the picture you see on the right is an example of shop drawings for a staircase. So your plans show you, I need stairs from levels 1 to 2. They need to be this size, they need to have this many stair treads, and they need to meet this code, and they need to be painted blue. Something along that nature. So the drawings give a basic understanding. The shop drawings are going to go into significantly more detail about how these are actually going to be constructed and installed. Something else to think about is your architectural drawings will have information on the stairs regarding their size, shape, color, things like that. Your structural drawings are going to then have the welding requirements, the weight requirements, things like that. The shop drawings combine the two. They force the subcontractor to say, I have looked at the architectural, I have looked at the structural, this is my combination, please approve it. So a couple quick things to call out is right here, you'll see that there's some detail callouts. This is going to be, hey, structural, can you approve this weld type? There are dimensions here. This is going to be more of an architectural thing. Hey, architect, can you approve these dimensions and this slope to make sure that it meets ADA requirements? Can you also approve the handrail? I have this handrail going straight down. Was this supposed to return back to a wall, or is this correct that it goes straight down? Is this dimension okay that it goes 11 inches past the end of the riser? And you can see there's a note here, typically for ADA requirements, the handrail is required to go 12 inches past the end of a riser. So this would be an example of a markup that you would put on the shop drawings to make sure everyone is okay with them, saying, architect, please confirm 11 inches is okay instead of 12. Contractor understanding is it must be 12 per ADA requirements. Maybe this one is a specialty stair and it doesn't require those. I don't know. I'm not the architect. So that's what your shop drawings are going to look like. And they look a lot more scary than they are. So if you're just getting into this and you see this picture and you say, yeah, I'm not doing that. Take a breath, take it section by section. When it gets to things like welding types, all you have to do is double check it matches whatever the plans already tell you. If there's a variation, you can make a note and say structural, confirm this is acceptable. You are not necessarily expected to know if something is structurally acceptable, but you do need to know who the structural engineer is so you can ask them if it's okay. Next on our list is samples. This one is a little bit more self-explanatory that this is an actual physical sample of something going into your building. I'm going to go tile my pool. Great. What does that tile look like? Because a picture might show me that tile is blue, but then I actually get a sample of the tile and I realize it's blue, but it's also textured. Oh, I didn't want textured. So it gives you a better idea of what is actually going to go into the building. So this one is typically only for your finishes. You will see it a lot of the time for plumbing fixtures, for appliances potentially. For paint, you want to see an actual physical sample of the paint, not just understand what color it is. Fun fact, a paint sample is called a drawdown. Don't ask me why, but it is. So if someone asks you for drawdown, drawdowns. They're asking for paint. You're going to probably have samples of your tile. You might end up with a sample of your drywall. If there is a specific texture that needs to be put onto the drywall, that is going to be something you want to get a sample of. If you don't get a sample of that, that one is a hard one to do product data on because different texture is all the same mud. It just goes on in a different way. So there's a lot of information to know so that when you walk into a unit after they just put up drywall, you can look at that wall and say, well, that's not orange peel, that's a skip trowel. And if those words mean nothing to you, go Google them. But those are different types of drywall finishes. And then the final category I have listed is as-built. So those are going to come at the very end of a project or scope, and they show you how it was built, things you cannot see anymore. So this is normally for your wet and dry utilities, or it can be for electrical in the units. It can be for mechanical in your clubhouse. It's going to take the plans, and if the plans show you are supposed to route this vent through the truss, your as-built are then going to say, I couldn't go through that truss because there was an electrical thing going through it. Therefore, I went under it. Or it's going to tell you your wet utilities were supposed to go here. But as soon as we started digging, we encountered this and we didn't know this was there. So we went a foot lower to avoid it. Something like that. Your as-built are very important at the end of a project. It's called project closeout. And you're going to have to submit those as-built to whatever jurisdiction you are in. Or at least that's my experience. If you don't have to do that somewhere else, someone leave a comment because as-built are annoying. But they are very important because the city collects all of those and then uses them as a database for future projects. So now you understand a little bit more about what a submittal is. So it's something your subcontractor is going to send you. What do I do with it? You are going to review it. Congratulations. So the first question to ask yourself, who sent this? What is it? Is it clear what was sent or is more information needed? So we're going to stick with our example of plumbing fixtures. You have sinks, you have toilets, you have faucets, you have valves, you have different types of pipe. Are they missing anything? So if your subcontractor sends you, here's the submittal for my tub and nothing else, that's probably not worth submitting unless there's a reason to get that one approved first. Maybe your tub is a specialty item that takes 6 months to fabricate. If so, definitely get that submitted as soon as possible. If not, send it back to the subcontractor and say, that's great. Where's everything else? Because when you submit it, you want to say, here is my plumbing fixtures. Here is a packet of all of my plumbing items. Now, is that to say you shouldn't submit 12 out of 13 things if you're waiting on one item? No, you can always submit it and then make a note saying this item is pending and will follow. And you can do a separate submittal just for that one, or slip sheet it in if you think it's going to come in the next few days or something. But in our situation, our plumber sent us a full submittal packet. It looks great. Now what do? Does it match the drawings? Size, shape, design, power, code, things like that. So if we're talking about plumbing, we want to make sure our faucet is the right size. Is it the right faucet? Is it the right color? When we put it into our sink, is it going to hit the countertop above? If you're reviewing tubs or toilets, are they the right height to meet code requirements for ADA specifically? So you need to look at those and see, does this meet code? Does this meet the plan? Now keep in mind, the architect is going to be the final say on the code. So if you see that it matches the plan, but you're worried about it matching the code, you can make a note and say, hey architect, this is a 20-inch tub and ADA says I have to be within 17 to 19 inches. Is this acceptable? If not, provide an alternate. Once you look at all that, you're going to look at the specifications, the manufacturer, warranty terms, testing requirements. So is my faucet Kohler or is it great value? Is it adhering to the 5-year warranty or is it a 1-year warranty? Testing requirements are usually applied to things like windows. They need to be water tested to make sure that they're not going to let water into the building. Once you've gone through that, you're going to say, does it work with interfacing items? For example, power requirements that are met, size that will work. So how I mentioned earlier, the faucet. Is the faucet going to hit the kitchen cabinet above it? If you're looking at appliances, you need to look at power requirements, not only for the power that is going to be supplied, but the location of it. If you have a fridge that only has a 1-foot cord at the bottom, and then you put your outlet 60 inches above the floor, you're going to have a really bad time when you go to plug in fridges later and none of them reach. So you need to look at the interfacing items. Speaking again of appliances, do you have your millwork shop drawings? Do your millwork guys have a 30-inch opening for the fridge or a 27-inch opening for the fridge? Because if your millwork only has 27 inches open and you have a 30-inch fridge, that's going to be a bad day. Now, if any of these come up with issues, you're going to say, 1, is the issue with the drawing or specification or the item? Did the subcontractor give me the wrong fridge? Or do the drawings call out for a 30-inch fridge and only provide 27 inches of clearance? That is going to be a different conversation. So if it needs to be a drawing revision, you're going to ask your architect, hey, what do you want to do here? If the issue is with the subcontractor, you can say, hey, you gave me the wrong fridge. I'm supposed to have a 30-inch fridge here. Please give me that one instead. And then another note is you can either reject the submittal if there are big enough issues that it needs to go back to the subcontractor, or you can make notes with comments. You can also do a partial submittal like we already talked about to get at least something going and something approved, but you don't want to be piecemealing all of your submittals together, so you want to be careful when doing that. Once you've looked through all of these, if everything looks good, you're going to give it your seal of approval. From there, you are going to process it and submit it for architectural and engineering or design or structural, whatever review it needs. Typically, you're going to have everything go through your architect and they will decide who else needs to look at it. And then once your architectural and design teams have reviewed it, it's going to come back to you. So you're going to look through it for comments, you're going to distribute to the original subcontractor, and it's going to go to any subs that need to be in the know on the item. So we're going to go back to our appliances. Appliances need to go to not only the appliance person who sent you that submittal, they need to go to the electrician to make sure they have the correct power requirements. They need to go to the cabinet manufacturer to make sure that the cabinets are going to have the correct opening. So think of not only the item, but what touches the item. Who needs to know about this item? And when in doubt, send it to everyone. Now, something to keep in mind with that is it is not a catch-all. You cannot just send every single submittal to every single subcontractor and expect them to do your coordination for you. And so that is our crash course today on how to review submittals. If there's any topics you guys want me to cover, feel free to leave a comment. I do read and appreciate all comments, whether they're suggestions, positive, negative, or indifferent comments. They're all great. I love hearing back from you guys. So talk to you guys in the next video.